So, yeah, just get your Audacity up and all the usual stuff. This is...
It's open. Just let me know when to start recording.
Oh, cool. We'll do the same thing we usually do, which is I'll send you a message, and then we'll start recording, and then leave a little bit of silence, which I'm sure will be riveting for the people watching this VOD. Just got to double check my audio is still all good as well. Yeah, cool. So I will send you the go message, and then we'll stay silent for like, I don't know, 5-6 seconds, and then start recording. I don't know why I explain this all every single time. I'm just very paranoid.
I can relate to that.
Yep. All right. All right, I'll count down. All right. 3, 2, 1, go. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Untitled Anime Podcast with myself, one of your hosts, MrGablin, also known as Matthew.
And then me, your other host, Jay Shay, also known as Caitlin.
And we have two pretty, again, quite different animes to review today, but both are, I'd say, pretty cute. And I do quite like.
They're from this season.
They're from this season! Isn't that
We're relatively
amazing?
recent.
We're relatively recent. And also for the audio viewers, we are doing a live version of these streams from now on as well, or these recordings, with cute little avatars that have been provided by the amazing Eliza over on Twitter. I'll link his Twitter as well, because he does amazing work, and I'm super happy with my little Gablin that lives on my shoulder, and I gotta say, I think JShays as well is pretty fantastic.
My cats.
Yeah,
those are my real life cats.
With her real life cats. That's exactly what they look like, even in real life.
They're tiny. They can fit on my shoulder.
They're tiny, can fit on her shoulder, and they're well behaved enough that they can sit on her head without destroying her. I think it's great. So for those,
none of them are in the room right now, so we're safe.
Oh, good cats. Okay, so the first one we've got for you guys to review is, once again, I'm going to try and butcher it, and then Caitlin is going to say the actual name. So the way I would pronounce this is Aharen-san wa Kaharenai?
Close. Hakarenai. You've switched 2 syllables.
Hakarenai, right, okay. So that
it's basically either like Aharen-san can't communicate. I think the official translation is Aharen is indecipherable.
Indecipherable. I mean, that makes sense, considering the show. And since this is the show that I picked, Caitlin is going to give you a rundown of the anime itself.
So it is an anime about some people in high school. It's a slice of life. It is about this just normal high school dude named Raido, I think his name is.
Yeah.
And he meets this girl, Aharen, who is just like super tiny and super quiet, and nobody can understand what she says, but he ends up making friends with her, and slice of life antics.
Yeah, there's no
there's no plot.
Yeah, there's no major plot in this. It is pretty simple. The first thing I noticed though with the show is Aharen has like a completely different visual design to Raido and the rest of the characters, which seems to be a pretty common thing in animes these days. To differentiate one of your main characters is to have them have a completely different art style.
I wouldn't say the art style is completely different, but colorization, at least, like most people are pretty much entirely just natural hair colors or slightly off natural hair colors, and then here she is, this like tiny girl with purple hair.
I think it's more the fact that she's quite like her drawing style is quite curved, whereas everyone else is quite angular.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
So yeah, it kind of surprised me at first. Also, the initial premise of a high school boy who everyone's scared of because he's got a stern face, and then a diminutive girl. I immediately thought of Toradora and was worried this was going to be that again. But the characterization's pretty different, which is quite cool. It's just a very, on paper they sound the same, but then are quite massively different. So for one, Toradora is very sort of realistic in its interpretation.
I wouldn't say that these are really anything like each other.
No, it was just that initial, like when I was watching the first episode, I was like, is this where this is going?
Yeah, especially not Aharen and Taiga. You can't compare those
No,
two.
they're very, very, very different characters. Also, hello chat on Twitch. Like I said, if you want to see these live, you can catch them when we stream them, because it's very rarely going to be a consistent thing. But we will try.
So you should follow him on Twitch and Twitter, so then you'll know.
Twitch.tv/MrGablin. That's where I am. Okay. So, first things first, intro song. Very cute. Liked it. Liked the animation. Liked the character. They definitely get the whole point of the show pretty straightforward in the intro. It is just, this show is about how cute Aharen is, which to me seems like the whole vibe of the show is just look how cute these two characters are.
I mean, it's not one that I would like listen to every single time, but it's not bad.
Yeah.
You know, it's cute. I feel like that kind of sums up how I feel about this show in general. It's just like, it's cute. I think I would like it more if I wasn't binge watching it. I think the premise of the episodes is too similar to watch a bunch of them in a row.
I don't know. I think I was the opposite with this one. I definitely could watch all of this in a day and just be like, cool, I've watched it, I enjoyed it, the end, and move on. Because it was such easy watching.
Oh yeah, no, it's super easy watching. I just get kind of bored.
Yeah.
Because it's very much just like Aharen does something, Raido jumps to an insane conclusion.
Yeah, Raido has like an insanely overactive imagination, I think.
Yeah, Aharen has a problem. Raido jumps to an insane conclusion. They resolve it. They have a cute conversation. And it's like, that's not a bad premise, but I would get bored of watching that over and over again. So I think it's probably better as a weekly thing for me.
Mm-hmm. No, I can see that. So, like, with the first episode, we get introduced to all of these characters, and again, it's a fairly generic anime opening with, I just started high school, and now I'm nervous
I have no friends.
Yeah, I have no friends, and now I'm nervous about giving my introduction at school. And I've always been very surprised at that kind of thing with Japanese schools. Do they do it in America where you all stand up one by one and introduce yourself?
It depends on the class. Sometimes classes are like, let's go around and everybody say their name, but it's not like as formal, really.
Yeah, if we ever do it in England, it's usually through an exercise of some kind. We don't, it's not just a one by one formal, hello, my name is this, and I hope we have a great year together. It's, let's do a game of some kind where you're kind of forced to learn everyone's name, rather than this formal stuff. But
we've done that sometimes, but sometimes it's literally just, hey, everybody say your name.
Yeah, and it's no judgment, and it's no like indication of the quality of the anime. It is just a fairly generic intro, but then I did like the immediate gag of, okay, I'm going to be best friends with the person sitting next to me. First thing I've got to do is learn their name. And then while he's overthinking it, she has given her introduction.
And he has missed it because she is incredibly quiet.
Which I then thought would be the sort of premise of the next, few minutes or so. I think I was like trying to predict the gags of this show too much because he didn't learn her name. So I was like, okay, so it's going to be him trying to learn the character's name without coming across as an idiot or insensitive for not listening in the first place. And no, he just looks at her book and that's her name. And then I thought, oh, okay, so that's not going to be her name. That's going to be just like a name that is on the textbook. But then it's like, no, that is her name. So I think I was kind of predicting the gags and be like, no, that's wrong. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I didn't often see the result of the gag coming, which is quite good. You don't want to know the end of a joke before you've heard it.
Unless it's a really good joke.
Unless it's a really, really good joke. But then, yeah, we have this immediate scene where he's trying to talk to her and she just looks at him, and then that's it. And then,
Like we think she's super rude,
yeah,
and then he realizes like no, she has been talking the entire time. It's literally just so quiet
yeah, she just
that no
talks
one can hear
really,
her.
really quiet.
I did like in the first episode the gags of them trying to figure out how in the world they can communicate with each other.
Yeah,
I like that scene. That was good.
they definitely like, I don't know how to word it, but it it definitely differentiates itself from other similar animes with sort of its very own unique sense of humor, which I appreciate. You know, a lot of the times, not just with anime, but just with anything comedic, it can all feel like it's written by the same like three people, whereas the gags in this show felt pretty fun and unique. Like yeah, the number of different ways he thought to communicate. I eventually just thought, can't you just ask her to speak louder? And he's like, no, arrow messages is probably the one that got me the most. The idea of Aharen just standing up on her desk with a freaking bow and arrow to shoot a message to him.
I liked bone conduction.
Bone conduction. So she just headbutts him multiple times throughout the day. It was very, very weird, but in definitely a fun way. But we're skipping ahead a little bit actually as well. So he eventually learns that she is trying to talk to him. She just talks very quiet, so that means she has to get really close to him and that kind of thing. And then they spend like the afternoon after school together. For sort of an unknown reason, it's just kind of like, oh hello, I'm just kind of quiet.
Followed him.
Yeah,
it just kind of happened.
Because I'm fairly certain there is the line where he's like, I guess we're walking home together now, which I just thought was, yeah, okay, just run with it. Because I thought Raido was going to be kind of the straight man, and for people not familiar with comedy writing, that's not a sexuality joke. It's what you refer to someone who isn't the funny one. They don't say anything weird. They're just kind of bland and react to everything not normally as you would. I guess like a good example is like from modern stuff is like Captain Holt from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, that kind of thing, kind of that straight-faced, you know, boring, and then it's almost the fact that they react to things so normally is what's funny, and then them saying, here is normal situation, and then another character reacts to it in an absurd way, so haha, that's funny. But no, Raido is in and of himself also kind of a madman.
Dumb.
Yeah, he's very dumb. He is very dumb. But yes, anyway, so then he goes through this whole situation, and then the next day, Aharen is really standoffish and, you know, again, sort of like feeling like she's rude. But then we actually learn quite sweetly that it turns out that she just really throws herself into friendships and quote unquote overreacts to people being friendly in sort of an extreme way, and that kind of got her ostracized from or in previous schools and stuff. And I just thought that was really sweet and related to it, because I do tend to go quite hardcore if someone's like quite nice to me on our first meeting. I'm like, okay, we're gonna be best friends, and I appreciated that, and I thought it was really sweet. You know, it's definitely a different way of handling this kind of situation in an anime. I don't think I've ever seen an anime kind of handle that situation in that way. Normally, it's either that the other person is like a tsundere, it's quite rude and standoffish, and instead we have this quite sweet reason as to why she held herself back. And I thought that, yeah, I just thought that was really sweet and cute. Sorry, I've been yammering.
No, you're good. I thought this was a really nice way to like actually add a backstory to it, because they could have just not. But no, she's super clingy and she has trouble with distance, I think it is. So it's like she didn't know that she was in people's personal space. She didn't know that she was overwhelming them. I don't know if she was louder, if she's always been quiet. I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't think they ever go into that. I think from what I can guess of the first 3 episodes, I think she is always just quite quiet. It was more just the fact that she is very forward, I guess.
Yeah, she's not great at distance. She was creeping people out by being in their personal space. So she decided that like, well, she has to like be like super emotionless and like
Yeah.
pretty much the exact opposite because she has no idea how to socialize very well.
Mm-hmm.
But then the main guy, Rido, is basically just like, well, I don't mind. I think you're nice.
Yeah, Rido is just like, I think because Rido, we get that it's that not necessarily opposites attract, but they're like two puzzle pieces that fit together. I guess in the sense that Rido has always been ostracized because no one wants to talk to him. No one wants to get near him because he looks so scary. And then
He doesn't. He's just tall.
he's just tall. That's it. He's just tall. And I forgot about that gag. I love the gag where he's like, "You've been practicing this. Okay, smile," and his face has not changed. I liked that gag. That was a good gag. And he's just like,
he's not great at visual emotions.
No.
She's not great at verbal emotions.
Exactly. Yeah. It's
or visual ones.
Yeah. Both of the main characters are pretty unexpressive, but I think that definitely changes with Aharen in sort of the third episode, where I think it's the third episode where she's like super sleepy. And the characters definitely get more expressive and verbal.
So the first episode, I think, was my favorite out of all of them.
The karaoke bit in the first episode, that was
funny.
I was howling with laughter at that. I thought that was great. Obviously
the microphone couldn't pick her up.
It was just the fact that she'd even choose to go to karaoke, and she's singing so quietly that there's just no sound, and Rido is just sat there with a tambourine, just like, yeah, you go, you got this. He's just like super supportive, doesn't care that you can't actually hear her. It's great.
But I didn't like the other character they introduced in the second episode.
Her childhood friend.
Yeah, so Aharen has this childhood friend named Oshiro, who I don't understand. She's just like super easily embarrassed, super like easily scared by stuff. She's one of the people who is afraid of Rido.
Yeah.
And so she's just like, well, I have to protect my friend from him. He's like super scary and he's going to be a bad guy and he's going to hurt her. Except the way that she does it is like
not doing it.
Yeah, just stalking them and then constantly crying, and it's just like, you're supposed to be Aharen's childhood friend and you can't even go and talk to her.
Yeah, it gets old fast.
It's like, I didn't even believe that they were actually friends. I thought that she was just like obsessed with Aharen, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she's annoying. I don't like her.
Yeah.
I wish that Yeah, her gag is just like, I'm afraid of everything, even my best friend.
Yeah.
And it's like, well,
was judging by the intro and then her first like introduction at the end of the first episode, where we see her in the background, I thought she was either going to be someone who was a girl that was interested in Rido, like romantically, or Aharen, and it was going to be this sort of, because the way I put Aharen in my notes is she's kind of like a non-psychotic yandere. You know, she's just super like into Rido, obviously, at least for now, platonically.
I think that's called a dandere, like the ones who seem like aloof but are like actually super sweet and stuff.
Yeah. And then I thought, so then Oshiro's going to be, sort of that. She's going to be the yandere. She's going to be super jealous of Aharen, and she wants to get close to Rido and that kind of thing. And I thought that's where the sort of, not antagonist of the show, but the sort of driving force for the show.
Yeah. And during not season 2, episode 2, they were really pushing that for a while with like, she's in the shadows, she's stalking them, Rido realizes that someone's following them.
Yeah.
She's gonna be like this creepy fanatic or like mean or something. And then it's literally just like, no, she was afraid of Rido and wanted to make sure her friend was okay, but she is also too afraid to talk to her friend. and is obnoxious, and I don't like
Yeah, it's kind of, yeah, obnoxious is a good word, but I liked the build up of the initial reveal for her was really good. Whether or not she like continues to be an annoying presence throughout the rest of the show is sort of notwithstanding. But that initial like build up was quite good, and then not creepy, but there was tension there. And then when he opens the door to confront her, she's actually super tall, and and he's assuming that she's a hitman. Because Raido has the most overactive animation of any anime character I've ever seen, which is quite a feat. Yeah, but then that initial joke, she runs off crying, blah blah blah, was funny at first, and then yeah, they drag it on just a little bit too much.
Yeah, it's kind of like every appearance of her. Except for when in the third episode she cuts their hair, and the joke is that she's actually really good at it.
Yeah, they again, like,
it's like her mom is a salon owner or something.
Yeah, they I don't know how Raido knows this, but yeah, he does say it out loud for the benefit of the audience. Oh, your house is also a salon, so you must be good at this kind of thing. And it's like, I did immediately think, how do you know that?
Maybe Aharen told him.
Maybe, because that's the thing. It's not going to be Oshiro that told him, because she can't speak to him. But yeah, the worry with these kind of shows, and I still have this worry even in the third episode, though maybe a little less so, is that they stay too chill for too long, and that they're you want it to be progression or plot,
I have no idea where this anime is gonna go. Like, that's the thing. It's like I'm already getting a little bored of the concept, despite the characters being cute.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea where this is gonna go.
Well, the third episode briefly introduces the two other like side characters that are going to be in this show that we only they barely speak in the third episode. They really took their time building up the relationship between Raido and Yaharen before they did anything else.
What other characters?
The two characters in the third episode that they do the cooking with.
Oh, I didn't realize that they were supposed to be introduced as side characters.
Well,
I thought they were just...
They're in the intro, so that's what So I'm making the assumption.
I've been skipping the intro.
How dare you?
Like I said, I listened to it and I'm like, this is cute.
Yeah, I liked the intro, so I watched it every time. But yeah, they're in the intro, so you can kind of assume that they're going to be sort of appearing at least on and off throughout the rest of the show. The other indicator that they're reasonably important characters is they're two-dimensional. Not in their writing, but in
did notice that. The background characters are 3D.
Everything in... and it's becoming more and more of a common thing in anime, is that a lot of like background objects or characters and that kind of thing are all going to be three-dimensional. And when I first noticed it, it was just a couple things. But now that I know... as soon as I noticed, I was like, wow, they really are going ham with 3D background characters. And I don't know how I feel about it, because yes, it means artists can dedicate more time to drawing the main characters in detail and having, because that's the thing with anime, is it has always been like a lot of action will take place just off of frame, because then they don't have to draw it. And I'm hoping that the use of 3D characters and objects in the background would allow them to do more of that, because like some of the shows that are like fighting shows, they dedicate a lot of their animation to fighting instead of the traditional sort of Dragon Ball Z fists are flying, draw squiggly lines kind of fighting. Again, it
might just be trying to save money.
Yeah, exactly. But as an example, because I have to bring it up, One Punch Man. All of the fight scenes in One Punch Man are super detailed, because that's what they dedicate their drawing to. That's what they dedicate their animation time to. So hopefully, at least in either this anime or future anime, the use of 3D characters is going to elicit more of that, at the very least. But it is kind of jarring because they look so weird. They look so weird in the background, just these 3D people wandering around, and I don't know how to feel about it.
I didn't notice it that much. Maybe I wasn't looking in the background a ton. I first noticed it in episode 2 when they were walking home together. I saw someone in the background and I went, wait, was that 3D? And then I saw it again a few times.
Yeah, in episode 3, it's definitely really obvious, I think, because they'll do a lot of long shots of the whole classroom, and you see two normally 2D animated characters, and then a bunch of 3D people wandering around the class, and it's just very, very strange. But you know, it's not a deal breaker. But also, I just want to like, Raido is super committed to being friends with whoever was going to be sat next to him, because he masters lip reading in one night, and then it doesn't work, which I found amusing.
So did he master it?
But well, that's true, yeah. But I think the gag was that her lips move so little that even lip reading isn't enough. But and then obviously he just eventually is just able to hear her. They don't ever have a solution. His hearing just gets better because he has to. That's it. His hearing gets better. But his hearing gets so good that he can tell the difference between a 100 and 500 yen coin hitting the ground.
Yeah, that was funny.
Which,
maybe
yeah.
She also gets a little louder, but
maybe, but it's not like gone into super detail. But that's the point of the show. The show isn't meant to make sense in all the minute details. It's just a gag show. But I do also appreciate that it's not just gag to gag to gag. It does feel like a natural ebb and flow of conversation and friendship and that kind of thing. It's not just, you know, that 4-frame manga kind of, here's a gag, then here's a gag, you know, and each gag has a title. It is a show, and it's a nice show. At least, you know, the progression is. Anyway, so moving on to episode 2. Or just the rest of the show. But yeah, literally my first note in episode 2 is the more shows I see in, the more I notice 3D characters and assets in the background. So if you're someone who is like annoyed by that kind of stuff, this show might annoy you in that sense, because I did feel like it was pretty overt with the 3D stuff.
I didn't notice it too much, but now I don't know. Maybe I also just don't care.
Yeah, no, that's this is
I feel like I already said what I wanted to say with episode 2, though, because I talked about the girl that I thought was annoying.
Yeah.
What else happened in that episode?
So it's the first sort of like group of scenes that we have where Raido is not a part of it. It is just Oshiro and Yaharen, and the whole gag is that Oshiro thinks that Yaharen's forgotten her umbrella. So the whole gag is her trying to give
It's episode 3.
What?
That's episode 3, because episode 2 is where Oshiro gets introduced.
Yeah, that all happens in one episode.
Oh, I thought you were saying the episode started like this.
No, I'm sorry. No, this is just what happened. Like what happens in episode 2 at some point. But yeah, we have this whole gag, and it's just the gag of Oshiro doesn't want to give her umbrella by talking to her, which is really weird. It's like, if you're her childhood friend, just go and say, hey, have you forgotten your umbrella? But no, she's trying to find a way to trick Yaharen into...
Aharen, there's no why.
Oh, I have read the title of this show completely wrong. Anyway, Aharen. So she keeps like throwing the umbrella at her, basically. And at one point she thinks the umbrella is cursed, so she does like a seance-y kind of thing on her desk. It's very, very weird. And
it's like, where did this umbrella come from? It keeps coming back even though I got rid of it. Must be cursed.
Yep, absolutely. I agree with the overactive imagination of a high schooler. I think that if you got rid of an umbrella and it kept reappearing, I feel like you'd be a bit unnerved. But
especially if you're religious. Maybe she's religious.
Maybe, we don't know. But then, yeah, we have this quite cute scene where Ahad and Oshiro walk home together, and Aharen is the one holding the umbrella, because she's like, oh, well, you've lost your umbrella because I've literally put chains around it and a padlock, so you can use my umbrella. So Aharen...
Oh, yeah, because Aharen did have an umbrella the whole time.
Yeah, they never explain why Aharen looks sort of melancholic in the episode. We can assume that it's because her new best friend, Raido, isn't at school that day, but they never go into it. But yeah, they walk home together. Aharen's too short to hold the umbrella, so then they have to hide away from the rain. For reference, there's rain.
Well, yes.
Yeah, and
Umbrellas.
Aharen is like happy because she finally gets an opportunity to thank Oshido for watching over them.
Caring about her,
Yeah.
basically.
And also, she thanks them for stalking them because it turns out that every time her and Raido have like walked home together, she's been like in the background or literally holding herself up between two buildings and watching over them. Just any kind of weird gag. And then,
Yeah, and Aharon's just like, thanks for always walking home with us.
yeah,
And Oshiro's just like, you knew about that?
yeah, and then obviously Oshiro runs away crying and embarrassed and that kind of thing. But like I said, that's this show. It's just kind of a silly, goofy gag. But yeah, everyone in the cast so far seems to be like completely oblivious in that sense. Like Aharen's not like, why are you stalking us? She's like, oh, thank you for walking home with us. It's like, no, that's not how walking home with each other works. It's completely different. But whatever. And then we have a very dramatic game of Othello between Raido and Aharen, which ends in, again, another gag. The bell rings halfway through a game. Well, at the end of a game where Raido is about to lose, and he's like, oh, well, I guess we'll call it a draw. It's cute. It's cute. There's not a
it was funny.
yeah, there's not a lot to say about this show. Sometimes the gags are obvious, like Raido being like, I'm the family. I think they call it Reversey. They call the game Reversey or whatever. He's like, I'm the champion. I always leave my sister crying with the game. So you're like, okay, so he's gonna lose. And then Aharon's being super polite and lets him win. And then he's like, I would rather lose than have you let me win. And then she wampa stomps him, and it's great.
Yeah, like 4 times in a row, and then he's just like, I guess it's a draw.
I guess it's a draw. It's chill. It's the like I said, there's not like a massive amount to say about this show. It is a pretty simple concept, but it's like I said earlier, it's easy watching. And even though there isn't like a massive amount going on, I do kind of hope that maybe there's a bit more plot or progression in the characters, like story. I'm not asking for Toradora, because that's a pretty dramatic shift in tone. But maybe we don't go through the lucky star thing of every episode is just gags after gags. Hopefully there's some kind of progression there. I don't know. Maybe that's me.
Genre is tagged as a rom-com, so...
Well, there you go. That was actually one thing I wasn't sure about bringing up, but I guess I will. Is this show lolly bait? Because it kind of feels like it in certain bits.
I don't think they're sexualizing her, so I'm going to say no.
Well, that's the thing, yeah. I don't know if it's my completely warped mind, but the scene with the eye drops.
Oh.
Yeah.
I
may have ruined that scene for you, but yeah, exactly. It's like, I think because I'd already kind of assumed that this show was kind of lolly bait, that then they did that show, I was a bit like,
if it were a show where they were also obviously sexualizing her, I would agree with you that it was a weird fetish thing, but I don't think it is.
Okay. Well, like, we'd have to watch the rest of the episodes, but that would ruin the format of the show, so why would we do that? I did like the reference to YouTube, though. I thought that was clever, like Raido's thinking, oh, she wants to be a YouTuber, so that's why she wants to film this weird dance. So then they learn a weird dance together, and it's super cute, and Raido is, like, going to the ultimate extreme of, I will do everything to make you the most popular YouTuber ever! And she just...
Then it turns out she just, like, had an assignment to dance for, like, gym class or something.
Yeah, I didn't understand. The justification for some of the gags is loose, but the gags are still funny, so... it kind of works.
Yeah, I did like that. That was in episode 3. Yeah. It was basically the whole thing of episode 3 was that they were due to change seats soon, and it was pretty obvious from the beginning that they weren't going to change. Like, that's just how it goes. And he was just like, "Oh, Aharen's gonna have to sit with someone else. I guess it's for the best. She can make more friends." Not even thinking about himself, like just thinking about her the entire time.
Yeah.
And being like, but I want to thank her for being such a good friend, for being my first high school friend. I'm going to spend this whole episode trying to do all these things for her that keep backfiring.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the episode, they, like, drew straws for new seats or something like that, and they were in the exact same spots.
Yeah, I thought the gag was going to be that they literally just swapped seats.
I also thought that might happen. Yeah.
Considering the episode name is "So We're Swapping Seats," I thought, oh, so the gag is going to be that they literally just have to swap to each other's seats or whatever. But no, they literally don't move at all.
I wasn't sure if it was going to be they don't move at all or they just switch places.
Yeah. But Raido is extreme. He's like, oh, I guess we're never gonna be friends again because we're moving seats, blah blah blah. And it's like, dude, just what happened in your life to make you think so weirdly? He's so intense. He's so intense about it. But yeah, like I said, it's a cute. I loved the entire whole gag of Raido just will not notice that his fly's down.
Yeah. Aharen was thick, so she could talk even less than she normally does because she like lost her voice or something, and she was desperately trying all day to tell him that his fly was down. Somehow, still after he went to the bathroom and came back.
Yeah, he's just incompetent.
And so she's like doing all these physical gags to try to hide it from his classmates.
Yeah. I think my favorite one was the model one where they're in art class and they're like, oh, we need models, and Raido's like fully because the whole reason why these like the justification for these gags is Raido thinks that Aharen is like super pumped up to do good work, so he's like, I'll volunteer for everything, and so then she has to volunteer, so then they find
yeah, because she was making weird hand motions at the beginning, trying to charade to him that his fly was down.
Yeah.
And he thought it was like cheerleading movements or something.
I don't know. I don't know. The justification just isn't there. But yeah, anyway, so they do the art class one, and Raido is like gonna full on do Hercules power pose, just like raw. So Aharen holds an apple in front of his crotch, and I don't know why. It just really, really got me, and
pretty good. I think it's because it's like she could have just stood there in front of him and done another pose.
Yeah, it's a good joke. It's a good joke. And I mean, you could really read into it because it was an apple, so forbidden fruit, rom-com, ooh. But, yeah, whatever.
I think you're taking it places where they weren't intending it.
I don't know,
You just draw apples in art class. Like, that's a still life object.
I don't know. I just, like I said, I think my mind is just kind of warped. But overall, I think this show is super easy watching. If you like slice of life, if you like gag animes, this show is great for you. There's not a lot to say about it because it is slice of life and because it is such a simple concept. But I liked the art style. The drawings of the characters are really good. They're not unique. There's nothing really special about any of the designs of any of the characters. But if you like visual gags, if you like that sort of rom-com humor, it's all there. You know, it is a great anime to watch this season, in my opinion. Maybe, you know, you're like Caitlin and you watch it once a week, or you're like me and you binge all of it and you're just like, yeah, cool, this was a good show. I don't think this show is going to change anyone's opinions about anime. It's not going to like revolutionize anime or anything. It's just cute.
It's going to go down as a classic or anything, but like, it's good.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, it does its thing, and it does it pretty well. You know, it's there was a similar anime a while ago that I've unfortunately forgotten the name of, or at least the Japanese name, and it's my desk neighbor is always messing around, and it's basically just from the perspective of this girl who's watching this guy who finds all these weird different ways to goof off of his desk that gets super elaborate, like he builds like tiny cities and stuff. It's really weird. I thought that was going to be what the show is about, but no, I didn't know it's classed as a rom-com, which I think is going to mean that the show takes
it's going to take a direction, but I feel like it's not going to get too into romance, just because I can't imagine it doing that.
Yeah, definitely, because there's... Oh, I wish I remembered names.
There's like 9 episodes out right now.
Yeah, there's 9 episodes right now. You can watch it on Crunchyroll. If it does,
I think you need premium for it, though.
Yeah, probably. I have premium, so I didn't have to like check or anything.
I have People's Premium I can borrow.
People's Premium. I have the people's premium, i.e., someone's password. It's
willingly.
willingly, yeah, willingly. Wink. The if it is like gonna be a rom-com, I'd be pretty interested in that because I'd like to see the weird struggles that they get into in terms of dating. That'd be kind of amusing to me, but
If you like weird struggles in dating, have you been watching Love After World Domination?
I have not.
It's not to take a detour, but it's another anime this season. It is about the leader of like a Super Sentai-esque team dating one of the villains, and both of them know absolutely nothing about relationships, so it's that they're stupid and they have to figure out how to hide it from everybody. It's pretty good.
Excellent. But yeah, I think what's the one I was thinking of? It's like My Teenage Romance or something. That's about the dude that is like super giant, like he's super giant buff, and he looks like he's 40 years old, and he falls in love with this really petite
Yeah,
girl.
I know what you're talking about.
I adore that show, and you know it'd be interesting if this show kind of took a similar turn, because it's not going to be the same because they're two very different tonally shows. This show is way more focused on the gags. But yeah, is there anything else you'd want to say about Aharen-san wa Kaharenai? I've still said it wrong.
Kaharenai.
Hakanai.
I don't think so. Are you gonna keep watching it?
Why did I put episode 4 notes as in episode 4 of the podcast, Matthew? I think I will. I'll probably watch it with the missus. I think is the thing for me. I think it is something that she'll enjoy to watch together because it is quite easy watching. Because she doesn't like super serious animes, but she also did like the romance anime that I mentioned. So I think it's going to be a fun, chill show to watch. It's not going to be something that I sit alone in my office watching anime, which is what I normally do. I'll probably watch it with someone else because I think that's what this show is it'd be good to watch with someone.
I think if it were the beginning of the season and it were coming out weekly, I might keep watching it, but I don't know. I might, but it would be like over time whenever I feel like it.
Yeah,
you know?
It's not something you're going to put the effort in to catch up the 9 episodes that are currently out.
So do we want to go ahead and move into our second anime for the show?
We do! And I don't know if I like or dislike the name or the English name for this anime.
I get why they named it that, but we can talk about it.
Yeah, so again, I will try and butcher it. Paripi Koumei? Koumei, okay, and the English translation is your boy Kongmin. Or Kongming.
So I think the reason that they went with that is paripi is like slang for like party people, but they wanted to get the slang, the same feeling of it being a slang term, but we didn't have an equivalent.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's fair.
Ya boy.
Ya boy.
It's ya boy.
Kongming. Okay, so Caitlin, if you want to describe.
Well, this was mine, so don't you have to introduce it?
Do you know? I don't know why. I just thought I already had. My brain is not. So basically, Kongming is a famous Chinese of either historical or literary accuracy, depending on what you believe, from the Three Kingdoms period, which is there's a series of games called Dynasty Warriors. Don't know if you've heard of them. That kind of go into detail about all of it if you really are a Chinese history nerd. And he was an assistant to a general, or was he a general? I don't remember. But anyway, he's been reincarnated he's a strategist, yeah. He's been reincarnated in modern day Japan. No explanation as to why. I genuinely hope they never give it, because I think that would just completely ruin it, because no matter what the explanation is, it's going to be stupid. And he then meets a singer called Aiko. Is it Aiko or Iko? Aiko. Okay. God, I didn't even get it right with 2 guesses. But yeah, he meets a singer called Aiko on Halloween. He falls in love with her singing. He, by sheer contrivance, ends up at her home, and then we learn more about her. We learn more about him, that he either really believes he's Kongming or is Kongming. I kind of am terrified that it's going to be that he's delusional and it's going to be really sad. But anyway.
No, because the beginning of the anime, it's like we literally saw him get reincarnated.
No, we didn't. We saw the original figure die, and then a dude wake up in an alley.
And when he was dying, he said the wishes like, "Oh, I hope in my next life I get to do something happy. I get to live in a peaceful time."
I know. I think I'm just paranoid. I think that's all. But anyway, yeah. So the whole anime is just about Kongming trying to make this girl famous, trying to be a strategist for her. It's really sweet.
I love this show. I really enjoy it.
There's bits of it that I didn't like, but I definitely did really enjoy it. So what I mean, if you it's your anime, so do you want to share your thoughts first?
Sure. So yeah, it's kind of like what he said. He basically he wakes up. It's the middle of Shibuya, Tokyo on Halloween. He thinks he's in hell.
Yeah.
He is surrounded by music he doesn't recognize, people he doesn't know, weird costumes, weird sounds. He thinks he's in hell.
Yeah.
So he's wandering around, and because it's Halloween, people are just like, "Yo, cool costume, a history nerd, nice, come party with us." And he's just like, okay.
Yeah, he just goes along with it. I love his acceptance. He's just like, yes, I will endure the trials of hell. It's like, well, how pragmatic of you, sir. Because I wouldn't. I'd be panicking.
Yeah, and then he ends up in a club, hears Eiko sing, thinks that she must be like a songstress of hell, some sort of general, and he's just like, I want to get in on this. I don't want to be tortured. I want to be a general of hell. I'm going to go befriend her. And then she's just like, what the absolute fuck are you talking about? You've had too much to drink.
Yep.
But yeah, she takes pity on him because she finds him sleeping on the street, and it's just like, okay, I'll like take him in, help him sober up, figure out like where he needs to go, things like that.
But then a very risky move. But
yeah,
more power.
They end up becoming like really good friends. He discovers that he really likes music.
Yeah.
Like, and so since he doesn't know what's going on, he needs to kind of commit himself to something to feel okay, basically. Yeah. So he's just like, okay, I'm going to do music. Mm-hmm. Can I work at your bar? Because she works at a club.
Yeah.
And then he ends up with a part-time job as a bartender. He's really good at it for some reason.
It also turns out that the owner of the bar, Kobayashi, is a super Three Kingdoms nerd. And that's
which is
why he
probably the only reason he got hired.
Exactly, yeah. He's like, oh, you say you're Kongming. Prove it. Why did you do this particular strategy? And they go into a really nerdy discussion about it. And yeah, he gets the job because he's like, holy crap, you really are him. But it's not clear if he
actually thinks that or not. Yeah.
Just for the Twitch viewers, thank you very much, Alzarat, for the raid. That's super duper great. Welcome, guys, to the Untitled Anime Podcast. If you'd like to suggest a title for the show, feel free to do it in the comments, or you can catch the rest of the episodes over on the SoundCloud, which I will link in the description of the actual video. Anyway, so we're talking right now about your boy
Kongming.
Yeah, it's just fun to say.
Your boy.
Sorry, you were saying.
Yeah, I was just kind of explaining what was going on in the first episode, and at first it's all just like really goofy, like comedy the whole time. But like as it goes on, it ends up being like really heartfelt, learning about Eiko's dreams to like become a singer and things like that.
Yeah, this show goes into some pretty dark territories occasionally. Like we find out that the main reason why Eiko is so passionate about music is that when in high school, when she felt suicidal and tried to throw herself in front of a train, yes, I know, that's how dark it gets, the owner of the bar saves her in a sort of grumpy way and then takes her to his bar. Again, pretty dodgy, but whatever. Then she hears this singer and she's like, I want to do that, and it's great.
Then she has something to live for, like that she has a dream.
It's super dark. Like they have another similar scene in the third episode where Kongming is talking about one of his regrets in his original life, where he lets he doesn't go drinking with these soldiers before they go off to war, and then they all die, and he's like, he didn't realize that was a farewell drink for people that had laid down their lives. Occasionally this show is just like, okay, and feels.
Yeah. I actually think it balances it really well. Like I think it balances comedy and seriousness really well. Like all of the characters, well, I wouldn't say the owner. The main characters feel very well developed, despite one of them literally just being a gag about a historical figure.
Yeah.
Like I like really feel for them. Like as I just feel like I'm rooting for them, you know? It's like
there's
they do it.
definitely
I think the writing in the show is really good.
yeah, it's definitely a like rags to riches or underdog story that is you just want them to succeed, and you want them, and whenever they do succeed, you feel elated with them. The characterization is brilliant. I liked how they didn't bother with Kongming learning modern society. He just does it all in one day, and he's like, "Yep, cool, whatever." And they just blew past it. And I loved the gag of when Eiko says like, "Who do you think you are?" And he's like, "I'm Kongming. I have a wiki page." I just found that good. I just thought that was a good gag. Just went, look, here I am on Wikipedia.
Yeah, the show is a lot different from what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a lot about gags of a historical figure in modern Japan, which, I mean, like, I was looking forward to that. I thought that would be funny. But it ends up being this, like, yes, it's funny, but, like, really heartfelt show about, like, starting from nothing and trying to succeed, and, like, how, like, their relationship of friends, whatever this is, allies. He's just like, yeah, I'm a strategist. I'm going to be a strategist for you. I need something to focus on. You need this. I want you to succeed. And they balance the comedy and stuff really well. I know I'm like repeating myself, but I just think the show's really good.
No, I definitely agree. I think I'm glad it wasn't gags about a historical figure in modern day, because I think that's kind of been done in a lot of animes, either through things like What If the Devil Was a Part-Timer, or even the previous anime we reviewed, the Invincible blah blah chan.
Jahi?
Yeah, Kahi, that one.
Jahi.
No, I'm crap with names. But yeah, we've seen that before. We've seen, oh, look at this amazing piece of technology. It holds up a calculator, you know.
But we've never seen this before, or at least I haven't.
I don't think we've ever seen a reincarnated historical figure come back and be someone's manager. I don't think that's happened. But it is anime, so it could possibly have happened. It could possibly.
And somehow it's not entirely just like a gag comedy anime. Somehow it's like this anime could be written entirely with Kongming just being like a regular dude.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be a comedy, but it would still be really good, you know? Like
it's definitely a pretty, for the most part, a pretty straight anime. Like, it just goes for a good story. They don't rely on gags too much. There's very few gags for the most part, and a lot of the gags that happen tend to be turned around, and it's like Kongming is like, "Oh, that was my plan all along," you know.
It was.
And it
like
was,
he's not even kidding. Yeah.
And that's one of the things I don't know if I'd say I'm worried about with the show, but I think it's something that's going to be interesting. Is so far, at least in obviously all 3 episodes that we've watched, Kongming succeeds every time. I'm interested if he's ever going to fail, because
I think he has to.
Yeah,
right?
because a good like underdog story has ups and downs. It's not just success after success after success. And since, you know, we've got a full series to go through, I want this to be a gradual process. I don't want Eiko to have like a meteoric rise to fame, because the interesting part is the journey, not the
then where does it go?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, once she's like already famous. But I'm sure if they do go into that, they'll handle it pretty well. The only problem I've had with the writing so far is and I think this happens a lot, especially in anime, is anime writers tend to find a way to put in their side interests into the show, because every now and then there's really detailed but completely pointless facts about music, like things about BPM or the style at the time, and it's just like, okay, I don't care. I don't care why a club starts a night of music with songs that are usually around 100 BPM, and then they up it to 120, and then they finish the night with 180. I don't care. So
yeah, I didn't notice they were doing that because I was interested. I thought it was interesting.
I normally am interested in completely pointless facts, but I just kind of found it grating in this. And I think there's another instance of it in the show, which is the history lessons. Because there are certain periods of the show that are just like, yeah, this is a history lesson. But they actually handle it quite well.
Mostly the beginning of episodes where it's like they're explaining. I think in episode 3 they did this. They explained the strategy that he used in the previous episode.
Yeah. Which I'm glad they don't do it at the beginning of the episode, which would spoil, the plot. They do it afterwards.
I do think I did tune out a little bit during that part, but it's also like it's not a big enough thing to bother me,
Definitely. Yeah, my first note for episode 1 is this intro goes really hard for a history lesson. Because it does. It is Dragon Ball Z levels of description over a history lesson. I just kind of thought I would have paid a lot more attention in history at school if they were done by the guy that did the tune in next time for Dragon Ball Z stuff.
And the actual intro of the show is really good.
When I first heard it, I couldn't decide if I found it repetitive or a bop. I was really on the fence.
Maybe both.
And I think maybe the chorus is just a little bit like, okay, we get it, ban. But no, the music in this show about music is surprisingly really good.
They got famous cover artist Kuroneko to do Aiko's singing voice, which I was excited about because I had followed her covers online before.
Nice. The only thing I'd say in the first 3 episodes is they've used the same songs a lot, and I hope that as the series continues, we do get more music.
Yeah, that's true.
Because, well, for one thing, Japan doesn't put as much money into their entertainment industries as the West does. So it's the worry of they only had enough money for, say, 4 songs. And that's it. And they're just going to use them repetitively throughout the entire show. But I hope that that's not the case, because the music is really good, and I'd like more of it.
I hope that she sings the intro song at one point.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be surprised.
Although I'm looking at it, that isn't actually her. She sings the ending. The intro is another group.
That's surprising. Normally they do get the actual actors.
But they did for the ending.
Yeah. But... The one thing I'd say is, as much as this show doesn't have like a particularly unique art style, I think there's a lot of like subtle things they do with the design of the characters that does differentiate it a bit. Like the owner, I think the owner's pretty uniquely designed, and Eiko, her eyes are just like slightly bigger, and it's just enough to make the animations and the character designs pop without feeling like they're trying too hard.
Eiko's fashion sense. I want her jacket from the opening.
Her jacket is pretty fantastic. I would wear that jacket. I think it's great.
It's too hot here in Texas in May.
It's about to be too hot in England as well, because it's summertime. The lighting of this show as well is really good. Like the obviously, it's a drawing, so lighting is a bit of a weird word. But in the scene where Eiko is like talking,
the colorization, the coloring,
but like with the lights in the background and the way they shoot the characters, it's really cool. Like this show definitely, I think this
has a budget.
Yeah, this show is definitely something that people are going to underestimate, and then going to be surprised at how good the show is.
Yeah, I feel like the description of the show when I was reading about it doesn't really prepare you for what the show is.
No, I definitely wasn't prepared during the first episode for then a heartfelt discussion about suicidal thoughts. That was surprising.
Yeah, that threw me off guard, but I'm just like, okay, this isn't what I expected, but it seems good, Yeah.
I
was expecting gag show. We got heartfelt, story-driven comedy.
Yeah, and so far every character has been pretty well characterized, like you said earlier, and they're really good at drawing bad guys. Because the first time we see one of the antagonists, which is a famous singer that Eiko
loves.
Yeah.
Immediately I was just like, oh, she looks like an asshole.
Yeah, exactly. It's like she looks shady. And then immediately she uses like dirty tactics to get ahead in the industry and stuff like that. I liked her manager being constantly like in his head just saying, please just do some vocal exercises, maybe you'll be more famous if you just learn to sing better. But
yeah, she wasn't bad or anything, but she was focused more on like developing an image.
yeah, the fame.
And she was just like, she's like, yeah, I'll get everybody to come watch my concert if I schedule, like, under the guise of giving Aiko like a really big opportunity. She invites Aiko to this kind of like mini festival type thing, where it's like at a club and there's a bunch of different floors, there's a bunch of different people singing. And Aiko at first is just like, oh, this is super exciting. Like, my favorite artist is like letting me perform in the same venue as her. Like, she's really trying to help me, lift me up. And then she finds out that she's scheduled at the exact same time as her.
Yeah.
And she was just there because the other artist wanted to schedule somebody nobody knew, so everyone would come see her.
Yeah. No, it's and then we get the quote unquote antagonist of the third episode, where they're very clearly not meant to be like in the same vein as her, as like, you know, just mean. But, you know, the lead singer is, you know, quote unquote plotting, as it were.
Yeah.
And
they're not villains, but they are antagonists.
Exactly, yeah. But I think the way they draw those characters, again, you immediately look at them and go, oh, they're dicks. It's very easy. But I think from the way the third episode is done, I think, what was the band called? It's like Jet Black or something.
Yeah, something like that.
And they, you know,
Jet something.
Yeah, they're coming back. They're going to be a repeat character, I think.
And then maybe they'll end up like on the same side or something, because they seem like characters that could not necessarily always be antagonists, rather than like the other girl.
Yeah, and have some interesting writing behind them, which I think is
because with that band, they were introduced as like, they were indie, they like gathered a whole bunch of popularity, and then they got picked up by a label, and they didn't seem super happy with what they started using like more, I think, like digital assistants is what they said. And the band members didn't seem super happy about that, so I could totally see it going in a direction where it's like they go back to their roots and like Aiko performs with them or something, you know?
Yeah. So far, like every character that's been introduced that has been given the opportunity to show it does clearly have like good writing behind them, which is, you know, it's good. It's nice to know that the writers are paying as much attention as they are to every character. It's not just Aiko that has a quote unquote tragic backstory. You know, we get these heartfelt moments from Koumei. We get them from the band of Jet Black. We get them from pretty much everyone that we meet, or we feel like we're going to get the opportunity to get it, which is quite good. I like.
No, there are more characters coming because they're in the intro.
Yes, exactly. That helps as well.
So they are taking a little bit to introduce their full cast, but I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing, you know?
No, definitely not. It's they did a great job of building up the relationship between Koumei and Aiko. Again, I think you're right in that this show could be played without Koumei being Koumei, which...
But I don't think that him being Koumei is a detriment.
No, it's definitely an opportunity for gags, but at the same time,
I think
it does feel a bit like they're doing it to stand out rather than someone was like, do you know what would be a great idea? You know.
Yeah, I do think it is the attention grabber, because I don't know if maybe people would be as interested in just the description of an underdog story of a singer rising to fame.
Yeah, because I mean,
it's not as attention grabby as, hey, this reincarnated historical guy is helping a singer rise to fame.
Exactly. Yeah. It's definitely.
And sorry.
No, go for it. I was just saying.
I do think it improves the show. Like, I think that comedy element, like, it could be too serious without it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that's the thing. Koumei is probably the main source of gags at the moment, and any gag that isn't directly from Koumei is usually a reaction to Koumei, which is, you know, the comedy element definitely softens those more serious moments. Like I said, I guess, sort of a trigger warning, I guess, that this show does at least mention and show an attempted suicide, you know, so it's it has those moments where you're just like, holy crap. And considering the first episode is mostly comedy, for them to then jump into that is pretty intense. But it works. I think that's the weirdest part about the show. Is weirdly, it works.
Somehow it doesn't feel like an isekai. No. Somehow it feels just like a story-driven comedy. But then you step back and you're like, wait, this show is absurd. What the fuck is going on?
Yeah, I think a good example or a good Western example would be shows like Scrubs, for example, which is a pretty, comedic show. I guess I'm showing my age now as well. But it's a pretty comedic show, but then every now and then it will have episodes that genuinely make you cry. Or some of the more serious moments of Friends or other sitcoms. A lot of sitcoms these days tend to have that slightly more serious element where you do stop and think, wow, like Brooklyn Nine-Nine has discussed racism and homophobia and that kind of thing. And that's what this anime kind of feels like to me, in that sense that it is overall a comedy, but every now and then it will do something that makes you think. And that's quite good. I like that.
Comedy, but the characters aren't just two-dimensional. Like, it's a comedy, but there's a story, there's like real characterizations, there's background, but then there's still a guy named Kongming from historical China, and his gags are coming from the fact that he is using military strategies in order to make Eiko famous.
Yeah, we also didn't mention that every episode seems to be themed around a particular strategy that Kongming used, or was a strategy used in the Three Kingdoms period. They managed to fit a whole episode around it, and then we have this background exposition between Kongming and Kobayashi that is just like, how did you manage to make this work? And then Kongming is like, let me give you a lesson in military strategy. And you're just like, okay, I'm down for this history lesson. Because that's what it is. And it's, again, to quote a meme, it just works. It just works.
I just found out that the opening is apparently a cover of a Hungarian song.
That is unsurprising in its like, I would not have said, oh yeah, this song is very clearly has Hungarian influences, but now that you've told me, I'm like, yeah, okay, of course.
And I found out that the ending is also a cover, so they didn't even fucking where's the music budget? They just did covers.
We'll have to see, because they not only have they got like a variety of music, but it is a variety of singers as well, which is quite. The thing is this show has I guess the worry I have with the show is it's a banging first three episodes, really really good. They barely put a foot wrong. Can they keep that momentum for possibly 10 more episodes? Yeah,
I'm not sure how many it's getting, but it's a relatively new manga. I'm reading that it was online on a manga website from December 2019 to November 2021.
Wow.
And it got an anime fast, which makes me think that it must have been a very good manga.
Definitely. I mean, it's... I'm glad to know that it has ended in the manga, and that means there is like an ending planned. Because a lot of the times an anime that
I'm not sure. It does say after that it was in another magazine. It says to present, but I don't know if it's being republished or if it's continuing,
Let's stream your boy Kongming. It's such a just bizarre name. It has been collected in 9 tankobon volumes as of April 2022. So, yeah, it looks like it
sounds like it might still be going.
That sounds like it ends to me, because it's been
the as of. The collected, yeah, but then as of sounds like that might be more.
Yeah, I mean, original run December 31st, 2019 to present. So yeah, it's still going. So, and 9 volumes of a manga, that's a lot. A lot happens in 9 volumes of a manga, So there's a lot there's a lot to see. And yeah, I'm going to be interested then to see where they go overall with the story, because that means either Eiko hasn't succeeded by the end of Volume 9, or has succeeded, and we're now going to see her struggles in the industry. I don't know. This show has a lot of potential, but like I said, I only worry if they can keep the momentum going for however many episodes there's going to be.
Yeah, that's fair. I think there's going to be 12 from what
12.
I just saw.
Okay. Yeah, I couldn't see this. Well, I'd say I couldn't see this going for like 24 episodes, but if it can go for 9 volumes, then it probably can.
If it's still good, that entire 9 volumes.
Exactly, yeah, because not everything stays good. So we will see. But yeah, so overall the show is like certainly weird and unique, but it manages to feel really wholesome and cute. And the music is an absolute highlight. Whether it's all covers or not, it's still good music. It's still well performed,
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, hopefully there's more unique songs. I don't want to be hearing this same 4 or 5 songs for the entire series. I would like to hear new stuff. And I will definitely be watching all of this show because it is surreal.
I don't think it would be a deal breaker for me if they didn't have that much more music, just because
No.
I think the story is good.
Mm-hmm.
But I like music. I'd like to hear more.
Definitely, yeah. It's definitely a show worth watching, and out of the two, it's definitely the better of the two that we've talked about today. But the difference being for me is that they're such different animes that it's hard to compare them.
Yeah, one is story based and one is gags. So.
Yeah, exactly. But it did kind of feel like they were both going to be gag based with your boy Koumei.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, boy. But yeah, go and watch them. Koumei is not available on any streaming services.
It's on High Dive.
Other than High Dive right now. Whereas,
I don't like High Dive.
No, me neither. Other than Aharen is available on Crunchyroll and on Netflix. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so you can go watch it either there. Do you have anything else you want to say about either anime before we wrap up?
I think so. I was wondering, is there anything else you're watching this season? Because we're finally talking about a new season.
No, I am really bad at watching anime. I'm so bad at watching anime, I had to start a podcast to make me watch anime.
That's fair. Surprisingly, I am watching a lot this season. I think it's because on Saturdays I've been hanging out with a friend and we've been catching up on shows together.
That's fair.
This is a very good season.
I will say I did finish Sabakui Bisco. And
did you like it?
I adore that show. That show is amazing, and I pray it gets a second season, because the manga's been going for a long time. So I really hope it gets... Oh, not manga, sorry. The light novel series has been going for a long time. And I really hope it gets the second season, because it is amazing. I loved every single second. It was awesome.
I'm watching like 6 anime this season, which is insane. I don't normally do that.
Jeez, yeah, that's plenty. That's plenty.
That's insane for me. But this is a very good season. There's specifically a lot of really good rom-coms this season.
Ooh, I do like rom-coms.
And... yeah, it's good. I figured if you were watching anything, we could talk about it. But if not,
right. Well, we will make a deal then. For the next episode, I will watch an anime that we're not reviewing, or I will.
Fair enough.
I will try. Damn it, I will try.
But yeah, there's still a decent amount that I'm not watching that we could pick something from this season to review.
Yeah, we'll manage. All right, guys. So this has been the Untitled Anime Podcast. If you'd like to suggest a name for this episode, feel free to do so in the comments down below. If you're watching on YouTube or if you're watching on SoundCloud, feel free to just put the comments during the episode, because that's how SoundCloud works, and it's weird. I like these anime. They're great. I'm looking forward to more. I'm looking forward to episode 5 of the show now with our cute avatars that are adorable.
Yeah.
I freaking love them. Hopefully we'll get a bit more visually going on the show as well for the background and stuff like that. I have been MrGablin, also known as Matthew, one of your hosts.
I have been Jay Shea, also known as Caitlin, the other host.
Yep, and we will see you in episode 5, where we'll be reviewing insert name of animes here.
Yeah, something. Probably from this season.
I don't know, something. We'll manage. I think we'll manage. All right, I'm out of here. This is where you say goodbye.
Oh, bye.
Bye. All right, cool. And stop streaming.